Before there was sunrise, before oceans mirrored the heavens, the darkness held other fires. Stars bloomed and died in violent waves, scattering their ashes into the interstellar night. From that dust, new stars would awaken, and with them, new worlds, yet many of those worlds never lasted long enough to be remembered. Every solar system is born from chaos. Disks of gas and stone swirl around infant stars, colliding, breaking, reforming. Some fragments grow into planets, sculpting a fragile order. Others vanish, shattered by larger neighbors or swallowed by their parent star. What survives is only the final draft of a far more violent story. Our own solar system carries faint scars of these forgotten beginnings. Asteroids tumbling between Mars and Jupiter are not merely wanderers. They may be remnants of a planet that never finished forming. Meteorites that fall to Earth contain isotopes older than the Sun itself. Whispers from lost worlds that lived and died before ours was ever born. In this quiet debris lies memory. Every fragment is a page torn from an ancient chronicle, a record of planets that once dreamed of becoming something more. And yet, like ghosts, they linger only in silence. Astronomers call this violent youth planetary migration, a dance where giant planets roam, scattering smaller worlds like fragile embers. Jupiter may have once swept aside a generation of inner planets, erasing them completely. Mars, small and stunted, may itself be a survivor of this age of ruin, a world left half-finished by the storm. When humanity looks up at the stars, we see permanence, but the truth is more fragile. Planetary systems are not built to last. Most are forged in fire, rewritten by collision, erased by the hunger of gravity. Our solar system, too, is not the first version of itself. It is a survivor of something older, something lost. The ghosts of those ancient worlds do not speak. They linger in dust, in stone, in silence. And somewhere, hidden in their absence, lies the first hint of discovery, the beginning of a story that scientists would one day try to unravel. The solar system remembers more than it reveals. And now, with telescopes and mathematics, humanity begins to search for what was taken. The first hints of the forgotten worlds. The story of discovery often begins not with certainty, but with doubt. In the quiet rooms of observatories, in the scribbles of planetary tables, strange whispers emerged. Patterns did not quite align, orbits carried subtle tremors, and across the dark mathematics of the cosmos, something seemed to be missing. By the early 20th century, astronomers were mapping the solar system with increasing precision. Newton's laws traced the pathways of planets with elegance, yet even his equations hinted at disturbances. Uranus, for instance, betrayed a wobble in its orbit, a defiance of expected motion. This very anomaly had once led to the discovery of Neptune, predicted on paper before ever seen through a lens. The triumph inspired a haunting thought. If Neptune had been revealed through mathematics, what other worlds might still lie hidden or erased? Attention turned to the space between Mars and Jupiter. There, the asteroid belt stretched like a scar. Since the early 19th century, when Ceres and Pallas were first spotted, astronomers wondered if this belt was more than chance. Was it the rubble of a lost planet, a shattered world once circling the sun in stately rhythm? The disrupted planet hypothesis suggested so, whispering that an ancient Earth-like body may have met a violent end. Yet others argued the opposite, that Jupiter's immense gravity had prevented a planet from ever taking shape, scattering fragments before they could unite. Both visions spoke of something unfinished, something lost beyond the asteroids. Other mysteries lingered. Comets arrived from the edges of the solar system, their icy tails glowing as they plunged sunward. Where did they come from? The Oort cloud and Kuiper belt were not yet fully charted, but astronomers sensed a hidden architecture, a vast reservoir of frozen debris, perhaps the last exile of forgotten planetary generations. Yet it was not. Only the scientists who sensed absence. Human imagination, too, carried stories of lost worlds. Ancient Babylonian myths told of Tiamat, a primordial goddess split apart to form the heavens and earth. Later, theorists would resurrect this myth in speculative cosmology, suggesting Tiamat was once a planet between Mars and Jupiter destroyed. In a cosmic collision, its fragments forming the asteroids. In other traditions, vanished worlds were punished by gods, swallowed by the void for hubris. Science and myth, though distant in method, converged in intuition. Perhaps not all planets endure. As telescopes sharpened, fragments of evidence continued to accumulate. Meteorites that fell to Earth contained peculiar isotopic signatures, radioactive clocks ticking from an era before our solar system's calm. They suggested violent heating, melting, and disruption, as if pieces of larger lost bodies had once roamed before being broken into shards. Some meteorites even carried traces of water and organic molecules, hinting that vanished worlds may have borne the seeds of life long before Earth awakened in the mid-20th century. Astronomers began building models of the solar system's infancy. They imagined disks of gas and stone swirling around a newborn sun, worlds forming in spirals of dust. But their models were unstable. Time and again, they produced too many planets, only for them to collide and scatter. Stability seemed to require destruction, the pruning of excess worlds. If their mathematics were right, our solar system had once hosted more planets than the survivors we now count. Some scientists speculated about Planet V, a world that may have orbited between Mars and the asteroid belt. Computer simulations suggested such a body could have survived for a time before gravitational nudges from Jupiter and Mars destabilized it. In one scenario, Planet V collided with another body, raining fragments into the inner solar system. A cataclysm that may explain the scars of the late heavy bombardment. When the Moon and Earth were pounded by impacts billions of years ago, hints also came from resonance, the hidden music of planetary motion. Gaps in the asteroid belt, called Kirkwood gaps, aligned with orbital harmonies of Jupiter. It was as if the gas giant's gravity had strummed invisible strings, sweeping debris into absence. But perhaps it had once swept away more than rocks. Perhaps entire worlds had once orbited there, erased by the relentless pull of a giant that moved like a cosmic predator. The whispers multiplied, missing mass in the asteroid belt, odd tilts of planetary axes, the strange orbits of distant icy objects. Each anomaly was small, fragile, yet together they formed a question too large to ignore. Could the solar system we see be only the second act, its first cast of planets long gone? By the closing decades of the century, exoplanet discoveries added fuel to the fire. Around distant stars, astronomers saw chaos made visible, giant planets skimming close to their stars, worlds ejected into interstellar exile, systems scarred by collisions. If planetary destruction was common elsewhere, why not here? The solar system's quiet grace might be a mask, hiding a past as violent as any. The first hints of forgotten worlds were not revelations of clarity, but shadows of absence. Wobbles in orbits, gaps in belts, whispers from myth, and fragments of stone falling to earth. Each was a clue. Together, they suggested that our solar system had once held more than meets the eye. Science thrives on doubt, and from doubt, new questions arose. If planets could be lost, what mechanism had erased them? If fragments remain, what stories do they tell? And if our home is built upon ruins, then perhaps we are children, not only of the sun, but of worlds that came before. The whispers were faint, but persistent. And so, from myth to mathematics, the search deepened toward the unfolding mystery of a solar system built upon forgotten graves. The solar system wears a mask of stability. Planets circle the sun in orbits so precise that centuries of prediction remain accurate to the day. To human eyes, the cosmic stage appears calm, eternal, and harmonious. Yet science has stripped away this illusion. Beneath the quiet elegance lies a history of fire, collision, and upheaval. The solar system is not a monument to peace. It is the scarred survivor of chaos. To understand this violence, astronomers looked outward. In the 1990s, the first exoplanets were discovered. What they found shocked them. Giant worlds, many times larger than Jupiter, orbited perilously close to their stars, so near that their atmospheres boiled away. Others spun in eccentric paths, slingshot into orbit that defied expectation. Systems were found with multiple worlds on intersecting tracks, their stability fragile, their histories written in cataclysm. The universe, it seemed, was littered with broken families of planets. If such destruction is common elsewhere, could our own solar system have endured the same fate? Evidence suggested it had. Scientists turned their gaze back toward the early sun, imagining the time when its surrounding disk of dust and gas coalesced into worlds. This was no gentle process. It was a crucible of violence. Planetesimals, rocky seeds, collided and grew. But growth came through impact. Every planet was forged in fire, every survivor marked by the ruin of others. Computer simulations of planetary formation painted a disturbing picture. In the first few 100 million years, the solar system may have hosted dozens of planets, small and large, rocky and gaseous. Their fates were grim. Some were devoured by the sun, spiraling inward through the drag of the protoplanetary disk. Others collided, their bodies shattered, their fragments cast across space. A select few endured, carved into the worlds we now know. Survival was not destiny, but luck. One of the most compelling models of this early chaos is known as the Nice model, named after the French city where it was conceived. In this scenario, the giant planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, did not always occupy their present positions. They were born closer together in tighter orbits. Over time, gravitational interactions flung them outward. As they migrated, they destabilized the smaller worlds around them. Entire generations of planetary embryos may have been swept aside, ejected into the void, or cast inward to fiery destruction. The Nice model explains much of the solar system's architecture, the eccentric orbits of the Kuiper belt, the bombardment of the inner planets, the scattered families of comets. But it also implies a haunting truth. If the giants moved, then they may have erased other worlds in their path. The solar system we know is not complete. It is what remains after the wandering of Titans. Another hypothesis, the Grand Tack, offers a more dramatic vision. It imagines Jupiter as a wandering predator, plunging inward toward the young sun before reversing course, pulled outward again by Saturn's influence. Like a ship changing direction in mid-voyage, Jupiter carved through the inner solar system, scattering planetesimals, devouring some and ejecting others. In this story, Earth itself exists only because Jupiter retreated in time, sparing the inner zone for smaller planets to form. But what of those that already lived there? Some researchers propose that a family of super-Earths, planets, larger than Earth but smaller than Neptune, once circled the Sun, only to be destroyed or ejected during Jupiter's migration. Their absence may explain why our solar system is so unusual, lacking the super-Earths that are common in other star systems. Clues to these vanished worlds remain scattered across the solar system like forensic evidence. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter tells part of the tale. Its mass is but a fraction of a planet, and its distribution is fractured by Jupiter's resonances, gaps carved by gravity's song. Was this belt the corpse of a shattered world, or the aborted embryo of one that never came to be? The debate continues, but either possibility speaks of failure, of a world that did not endure. Meteorites that fall to Earth provide another window into the lost. Within them are isotopes that reveal a violent history. Some are chondrites, fragments once part of differentiated worlds, bodies large enough to have formed cores and mantles, like miniature Earths. These fragments prove that planets did form, only to be broken apart. In their minerals lies evidence of melting, of volcanism, of a complexity erased. Each fragment is the tombstone of a world that almost was. Even the moon carries scars of planetary ghosts. Its surface is riddled with craters from the late heavy bombardment, a storm of impacts thought to have occurred some 4 billion years ago. What caused this fury? The shifting orbits of giant planets, scattering debris inward, may be to blame. Among that debris could have been fragments of lost worlds, hurled toward Earth and Moon alike. Our planet's ancient scars have been softened by time and geology, but the Moon remembers, its face forever marked by the echoes of vanished neighbors. Among the most provocative theories is the proposal of Planet V. According to simulations, an additional planet may once have orbited between Mars and the asteroid belt. For a time, it remained stable, but eventually its orbit decayed under the pull of Jupiter and Mars. Planet V may have collided with another body or plunged toward the Sun, triggering chaos in the inner solar system. If true, Planet V's destruction could explain the cataclysmic bombardment and the peculiar scars of the asteroid belt. Though no fragments remain to confirm it, the idea lingers as a ghost in the equations, a reminder that our family of worlds may once have been larger. The notion of lost super-Earths deepens the mystery. Around other stars, these planets are abundant. They may form easily in the turbulent disks of young systems. Why, then, does our solar system lack them? One answer is Jupiter. Its inward march during the Grand Tack may have bulldozed these early super-Earths, hurling them into the Sun or ejecting them into interstellar exile. If so, our Earth owes its existence not only to survival, but to the erasure of siblings more massive, more promising, perhaps more habitable. Exoplanet studies confirm that planetary systems are rarely serene. Collisions are common. Some stars bear rings of dust created by shattered worlds, glowing in infrared light. Others host rogue planets, ejected wanderers that drift between the stars, carrying the memory of systems that could not hold them. These discoveries are mirrors, showing us what our own system may have endured and what it may yet face. Even the Sun itself played its part in the destruction, Young stars often unleash violent flares and winds, stripping atmospheres from planets, driving them into death spirals. The early sun was no different. It blazed with intensity, its storms fierce, its hunger great. Some worlds may have been consumed entirely, swallowed before they could escape its pull. Others lost their atmospheres, reduced to barren husks. The sun is not merely a giver of life, it is also a destroyer. The solar system, then, is best understood as a survivor's tale. Earth exists not because its birth was destined, but because of a precarious balance. It endured the migrations of giants, the bombardment of fragments, the storms of a restless star. Countless other worlds were less fortunate. Their dust lingers in belts and clouds, their fragments rain down as meteorites, their memory written in scars upon surviving planets. Each shard tells a story. In the chemistry of meteorites, we find the fingerprints of worlds that melted and cooled long ago. In the gaps of the asteroid belt, we hear the silence of a planet that never came to be. In the tilted orbits of distant objects, we glimpse the gravitational footprints of migrations that reshaped the system. Together, these clues reveal a hidden history, a solar system once teeming with possibility, reduced by violence to the survivors we know. What does this mean for us? It means that Earth is not the inevitable cradle of life, but a fragile outcome of cosmic trial and error. It means that the sun's family once numbered more than 8, perhaps far more. It means that the night sky is haunted by ghosts, not of mythology alone, but of real worlds that once circled our star dot. The dawn of planetary systems is shattered, not serene. To gaze at the solar system today is to see the survivors of a massacre, the remnants of a cosmic battle fought in silence. And in that silence, the memory of the lost lingers, waiting for science to give it voice. The solar system is not whole. It is a mosaic of survivors, each carrying the scars of others erased. And beyond Neptune's edge, in the outer dark, may still drift the fragments of those ancient, forgotten worlds. At the edge of the solar system lies a frontier of shadows. Beyond Neptune's cold orbit, the familiar order of the planets dissolves into a wilderness of ice and silence. Here, the sun is no longer a blazing presence, but a faint lantern in an endless night. It is in this frozen darkness that the oldest secrets may linger. The Kuiper Belt, a sprawling region of icy bodies, stretches outward like a broken necklace scattered across the void. Pluto, once the 9th planet, is only the most famous of its residents. Countless smaller objects, Eris, Haumea, Makemake, drift in slow procession, relics of a time when the outer solar system was raw and unfinished. Each of them carries a record of the chaos that once reigned, their surfaces scarred, their orbits distorted by ancient migrations of the giants. Some astronomers believe that hidden among these icy wanderers are fragments of worlds that never survived. They are planetary embryos frozen in time, never growing large enough to ignite geological fire. If the asteroid belt holds the ruins of inner worlds, then the Kuiper Belt may hold the cold corpses of outer ones, a cemetery beyond the pale of sunlight. Farther still lies the Oort cloud, a hypothetical sphere of icy bodies surrounding the solar system like a distant halo. It has never been seen directly, but its presence is betrayed by the comets that plunge inward from its depths. To imagine the Oort cloud is to imagine a ghostly archive, trillions of frozen bodies drifting in. Slow silence, some of them perhaps the shattered remnants of ancient planets, scattered during the upheavals of the Nice model. If so, then every comet that streaks across Earth's sky may be a messenger from a time before our solar system was settled, a shard of forgotten history passing briefly through the light. And yet, among these exiles, one mystery has seized scientific imagination, the possibility of a hidden giant. In 2016, researchers Konstantin Bettigin and Mike Brown proposed the existence of Planet 9, a massive world, perhaps 10 times the size of Earth, orbiting far beyond Neptune. Its gravity, they argued, could explain the clustered orbits of distant Kuiper Belt objects, as if unseen hands were drawing them into alignment. If Planet 9 exists, it is no ordinary world. It may be a survivor from the earliest age of the solar system, cast outward by Jupiter's fury but never expelled completely. Or perhaps it is a stranger still, a captured rogue planet, born around another star and stolen by the sun in passing. The thought is haunting, that in the farthest shadows of the solar system, an ancient world still lingers, circling in exile, unseen but not gone. If true, Planet 9 would be not only a scientific revelation, but also a living ghost of the system that once was. Even if Planet 9 proves illusion, the outer dark remains a graveyard of memory. Every icy fragment is a reminder that the solar system's story is incomplete. The outer reaches are not empty, but crowded with relics, their presence suggesting that destruction and survival are woven into the very fabric of planetary history. And so the question deepens. If entire worlds were shattered or cast away before Earth was born, then we live upon the ruins of earlier chapters. Ours is not the first solar system, but only its latest draft, rewritten by time, sculpted by violence, haunted by what it has lost. The outer dark whispers of absence, not presence. And as scientists peer deeper into its shadows, one question remains. Are we the final survivors, or only the inheritors of a much older tale? Asterisk, the night sky tells us a story of order. The planets sweep around the sun in patient arcs, each faithful to its path, each secure in its rhythm. To human eyes, the cosmos seems calm, as though it has always been this way. But the deeper science peers, the more fragile that illusion becomes. The solar system is not a finished book. It is a palimpsest, a manuscript scraped and rewritten, where the faint outlines of older words still press faintly through. Every planet we know, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, is a survivor. Their survival was not inevitable, but the outcome of chance, of collision, of erasure. Each world carries scars of what came before. Mars, small and stunted, whispers of lost potential. The moon, battered by ancient impacts, remembers the storms of debris that once filled the inner solar system. Even Earth, fertile and alive, is marked by catastrophe. Its very formation entwined with the destruction of another world. For Earth's own story begins with an ending. 4.5 billion years ago, a Mars-sized planet, Theia, is believed to have collided with the young Earth. The impact was apocalyptic. Crusts shattered, oceans of magma boiled, skies filled with fire. Yet from this ruin emerged something new. The debris coalesced into the moon, our companion in the night. Without that collision, there might be no tides, no stability to Earth's axis, perhaps no life at all. Earth's existence as we know it is not in spite of lost worlds, but because of them. Creation and destruction are bound in the same thread. The comets that streak across our skies remind us of this ancient inheritance. They come from the Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud, frozen messengers carrying ices and organics older than our sun. Some may be fragments of shattered worlds, scattered outward during the migrations of giants. Each path through the inner solar system is a ghost returning briefly to the light before vanishing again into the dark. We make wishes upon them, yet they are themselves remnants of wishes unfulfilled, worlds that might have been, but never were. Meteorites, too, bring whispers from the past. In laboratories, their isotopes reveal histories of melting and differentiation, signs that they were once parts of larger bodies. Some carry carbon compounds that hint at life's chemistry, preserved for billions of years. When these fragments fall to Earth, they remind us that our planet is not isolated, but stitched together from the bones of others. The dust beneath our feet may contain particles forged in forgotten worlds. Every stone, every grain of sand is a relic of cosmic inheritance. Even now, science admits its knowledge is incomplete. Models suggest that multiple planets may once have orbited between Mars and Jupiter, erased by the pull of Jupiter's gravity. Super-Earths may have existed near the Sun, destroyed before Earth ever cooled. Planet V may have circled for a time, only to vanish in catastrophe. None remain, and yet their absence shapes everything we see. What exists today is not the solar system as it began, but what survived its purges. This realization alters our perspective. We are not living in the first version of the solar system, but the latest. Ours is a chapter built atop erased ones, like a city raised upon ruins. The planets we know are not only themselves, they are mosaics of what has been. Lost, haunted by worlds that no longer shine. And so, when we look at the night sky, we look not only at what is present, but also at what is missing. The silence between planets is as telling as the planets themselves. The gaps, the scars, the strange tilts and orbits, all are memorials to vanished neighbors. Our solar system is not a finished story, but an echo chamber where every survivor speaks faintly of others erased. Perhaps this is the true meaning of cosmic memory. Worlds are not remembered in names or histories, but in dust, in fragments, in the long shadows they cast upon survivors. They do not speak in words, but in silence, the silence of absence, which still shapes all that remains. The lost planets are gone, but not forgotten. They live in the moon that steadies our tides, in the comets that fall like tears, in the meteorites that remind us of ancient fire. To walk upon Earth is to walk upon a graveyard of worlds, and to inherit the memory of a cosmos that never forgets.